This show is only made possible because of donations. And you can donate as little as you want, but one thing people don't talk about, you can donate as much as you want to.
Hey.
As much as you want, go to patreon.com/wehaveconcerns. Ensure that this show continues by giving us as much as you want.
You want to do $1 million? You can do
it!
You can do it. We won't stop you.
Austin's awesome. I really dig Austin.
Yeah, it was cool. I could enjoy Austin with up to 40% snot.
Really?
I think so.
That's
Seemed
a lot
like
of
that.
snot.
Seemed like that fun a city.
Wow.
We'll know next time I go.
think- yeah,
This
they
is
should-
We Have Concerns. Hi, Jeff Canada.
Hi, Anthony Carboni.
Hello, concerned citizens.
Hey, we got an article sent to us.
That's odd.
I know. It's weird.
Super weird.
You can always send articles for us to talk about on the show by using our subreddit at wehaveconcerns.reddit.com or by using our Gmail, which is wehaveconcernshow@gmail.com.
Don't send it to Twitter.
No.
Wait, tweets go by and they're ephemeral and they disappear into the night and then we don't get them into the thing. And we
Yeah.
don't read
And
them.
now there's algorithms ruining everything.
Algorithms
It's
have
bad.
ruined everything.
But this is an article that Alik Evans sent to us that I found very interesting. You know that I am fascinated by language. I love words. Words are my playground.
Oh, please. Words and love me do.
Yes.
Language, best.
Well, it turns out that English might be a kind of a depressing language, it turns out.
I've felt depressed most of my life.
And you only speak English.
And I only speak English.
So QED.
I speak some French, but when I do, I feel uppity. So this all checks out.
This professor, British researcher actually, has been comparing the tone and emotional content of English words and other languages, and he found, and he's just sort of begun this research, but he's already reported finding 216 foreign words for which there is no English translation that are emotionally positive. So the idea being that if we can't name something, if we don't have a word for it, we don't feel it, we don't experience it. And there's all these other languages that have words for great, positive, cool feelings that we don't even have a word for.
So this is sort of a chicken and egg thing to me because I've heard this theory before. We actually talked about this. This reminds me of when we talked about the word blue.
Right.
And the non-existence of the word blue.
Yeah,
for
or
so
the
long.
relatively newness of that word.
Yeah, and did it make people see things in a different way because there was no existence of blue? Did they
Right.
actually see blue, or did they see a different color because there was whatever?
Right.
So this kind of feels that way to me. When somebody says there are all these amazing positive emotions that we can't feel because we don't have a word for them, I feel like that's sort of cart before the horse, right? Because if we feel a thing, we come up with a word for it. That's how language works.
Right. Well, but I'll read you some of these words that he lists off and the feelings that they express, and you'll immediately go, "Oh yeah, I recognize that feeling." But his point is that because we don't have a word for it, he says that language infects and inflects our thought at every level. He says that our perception of the world is influenced by the words at our disposal. So because you can't describe a thing, you tend to not feel it, or you tend to not acknowledge it as a feeling. You tend to not internalize it because you can't name it.
Well, and I guess discussion of it makes us more aware of it and allows us to pinpoint it when we feel it a little bit easier.
Right.
And therefore makes us more sensitive to the fact that I don't know, but I kind of get what you're saying.
I think this has a lot of weight to it. I really believe it. And I'll read you some of the words that we have that he points out in other languages. There's a Spanish word, gula, which is the desire to eat simply for taste. So we only say I'm hungry or I was going to say
something. In English, I think that's just hungry.
Right, but hungry doesn't describe this feeling of like...
No, but we like to say that we're hungry because it makes us feel better about the fact that we're eating just to eat.
Yeah.
We also call it shame eating or hate eating.
Right. We hyphenate.
Yeah, we're real big into
hyphen
hyphenates.
Eat.
Ho! Wow. They've been gone for a while, but they're back, everybody. Dad jokes 2016.
So there's the word sobremesa, which is Spanish for when the food has finished, but the conversation is still flowing.
Once again, that's not something that we don't have a concept of and that we don't you know what I mean? Like we understand that and that happens. I don't, but go on. It's cool that there's a word for it.
How about a Bantu word, mabuki mavuki, which is to shuck off one's clothes in order to dance.
That's what a magician says in a 1960s Hanna-Barbera cartoon. It's incredibly culturally insensitive. But he says it, and then he pulls something out of his hat. But it's always but it's always the wrong thing, and it's hilarious. It's great. He's got a sidekick that's either a dune buggy or a monkey.
Yeah, or a monkey in a dune buggy.
It's both.
Yeah,
because of magic.
Okay, so how about?
So what does that one mean?
It's to shuck off your clothes in order to dance. Which is, if I had a word for that, I would do it way more often.
That's just called a music festival in English.
That's called Tuesday night.
That's called fish.
That's called drugs.
Yeah.
Here is some words relating to relationships. So,
I'm ready. I could use some. I could use some in my arsenal.
A Japanese word nakama, which is a word for friends that you consider family.
Oh.
So you don't have that. We don't have that word in English. We don't have a word that says you're such a good friend that I consider you like family.
No, but I've said that phrase.
Sure.
You're like family, or this guy's practically my brother, or like, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
Once again, I don't mean to chip away at this because I love the idea of it, but not having a word for these things so far does not mean that I have not experienced, thought, felt, communicated these things.
Well, no.
There's a specificity, sure, to having an exact word.
I don't think he's saying that we are incapable of feeling these things. He's saying that...
Well, I'm incapable of feeling anything.
Well,
we're going to get true.
You are a unique case.
Yeah.
Yes. I think his point is that the language itself doesn't express those things directly. You have to describe it in a phrase or a sentence. And that means that the language itself sort of doesn't acknowledge that that's a thing. Like it doesn't, you have to describe it rather than have a word for it.
Sure.
Like if we didn't have a word for love and we just said, oh, you know, that feeling you feel when you like someone a whole lot, it would be a different thing than saying there's this concept that has its own name.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Also, that was very poetic. I just want to let you know.
That's from my book.
That's from your book of sonnets.
A description of relatively great feelings by Jeff Kanata.
An emotionally unavailable man describes emotions. A sonnet cycle by Jeff Kanata.
Yeah.
No, I mean, sure, there's an immediacy to being able... I like specificity. I like having a word for the exact thing, you know, at my disposal. But, yeah, I mean, this doesn't make it harder for us to... Like, your example of love is an extreme one. But, you know... I don't need, you know, that's a concept that is so big and is expressed so often that yes, we need a word for it. The feeling
that's the exact point is that
but it's important, right? Like love is a big important universal thing. Talking after the meal is over is not necessarily something that we need a specific word for.
You are proving his exact point, which is that because we grow up in a language because English doesn't have that as a way to express it, we don't think it's important.
We're just discussing order of operations here. You're saying that it's not important because we don't have a word for it, and having a word for it would make it more important to us. I'm saying if it's really important, we make a word for it.
No, I'm not. What I'm saying, and I think what he's saying also, is other cultures think it's more important, therefore there's a word for it. It doesn't matter which order the chicken or the egg came in. The idea is that our culture, which is born of our language, or our language is born of our culture, whichever order you want to have that in, doesn't value these feelings enough, and therefore that points to...
But certain languages are much more specific and have words for many more things than other languages do, and that's not necessarily entirely cultural. If you look at German has a lot of like compound words, created words for specific things.
Oh, there's a couple of German words in here. You want to hear one of them?
And it's not necessarily that those things are incredibly culturally important. They just believe in specificity. That's a German cultural thing, right? So I don't know. I don't know that having the word means that it's more important to your culture.
Here's a German word you're probably going to want to use a lot. Sitzfleisch.
Mm-hmm.
It's the German word for the ability to persevere through hard or boring tasks. It translates literally to sit meat. You're a sack of meat sitting there getting through it.
Whew. That's a good one.
Sitzfleisch.
a good one.
Sitzfleisch. Yeah.
But
Pretty
once
good.
again, I don't know if that means that it's culturally important to them.
I
just think it's...
I really do believe that there's something to this, that because that maybe our language points to the fact that as a culture of Anglo-Saxon descent, or that uses English, that we somehow don't value these positive feelings as much, these emotional...
So what is his thesis here? What does he think that what does he think the lack of these words means for people who speak English?
His research, which was published in the Journal of Positive Psychology, he says that
hippie journal,
fucking
goddamn hippie journal.
It does
for
sound like a
babies
hippie
that
journal.
hug each other all the time.
It does sound like a hippie journal, and it does sound like a hippie study. But he's basically saying that we are native English speakers.
Yeah.
Have a disposition to be not as emotionally positive as other languages, possibly. Like he's still in the midst of compiling this list. In fact, he's making it open source. He's asking people of other language to suggest words that he's missing, and then he's going to begin to do the opposite, which is, are there negative words in English that other cultures don't have a word? Are we just pessimist thinkers?
But he hasn't done any of that research yet.
That's just the beginning. He wanted to publish, everything half done.
Yeah.
Because he's
a
depressed.
glass half full Journal of Positive Psychology sort of dude.
Yeah.
It's like, look, guys, I'm doing it. I'm really doing it. I'm a sit meat.
He's a sit meat. Yeah.
I'm a sit meat, everybody.
Yeah.
And everybody says, good job, gold star, Journal of Positive Psychology. Everybody walks away with a hug and a dream.
Yeah. How about this Hindi word, jugad, for the ability to get by or make do? Just jugading today. Just jugad.
Uh-huh.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
I think
hanging in there.
I feel like you don't value language in the same way I do, and don't feel
wow.
like... Well, no, I'm just saying...
Wow.
I think I might very well overvalue it. But I'm saying, I feel like whenever these stories come up, you're like, who cares?
It's not who cares. That's you're getting it twisted. I'm saying that I don't necessarily believe the thesis.
Right. Which
that doesn't translate to who cares. That translates into, I don't think that's true.
Well, I think the way we express what we think is a description of how we think.
Sure.
And that in order to form thoughts, we need to have language.
Sure.
And they go hand in hand. And so if you are missing some elements to express a thought, yeah, we can talk around it. We can create phrases. We can have a whole paragraph to describe that feeling, or a sonnet, or whatever it takes.
Yeah.
But if you have one word that everyone in the culture agrees on that sums up that feeling, I think it makes your thoughts more clear, and maybe makes your emotions more clear.
Potentially. Sitting around getting by, or, being good at doing repetitive and menial tasks. Like, we could come up with a word for that today.
Right.
Would we start using that word? I don't know. Do we need it? I guess that's my thing. So you're saying that there's something innate that we can't express until there's a specificity of a word that expresses that exact thing.
Well,
I don't believe that's true. I think the whole wonder of language is the fact that we can construct phrases. The language can change and grow and evolve to meet the needs of whatever is going on in culture right now.
Right.
Like, I don't need the word sit meat to explain,
maybe you will,
or
when you're editing this episode.
Or I don't need jugad to say, like, man, I'm just scraping by.
Right.
Like, because I just said it, man. Like, dude, I'm just scraping by. Like, I'm just hanging in there. Jugad. It's not even that much longer. You know what I mean?
But I think maybe I'm not being clear because there's no word to describe this.
Wow, what a dick. How's that for a word?
No, I mean, I don't think that you're incapable of... we can describe any feeling if you given enough ink.
Does it need... I guess what we're coming down to here is, does it need to be boiled down into one exact... Profanity is a great example of this.
Right.
Profanity is wonderful. Profanity is beautiful. I don't care what anybody says. When I get angry and I scream out, I scream out motherfucker, or I call somebody a dickbag. You know what I mean? Like, that what you're talking about is sort of the ultimate negative expression of this sort of idea, which is we have this one thing that is connected to our feelings on a base level that we scream in a specific situation.
And it actually gives you some catharsis to express it to the world.
Sure. So I understand that. I understand what you're saying by saying there is that for some words.
So the inverse of that is also true, in my opinion, that if you're able to say love instead of going, oh, that feeling that I feel, that I think that's the same. It's similarly. It's not that you're incapable of feeling it without the word. It's that there's an importance and a specificity that allows the expression of the feeling to be more perfect.
Just to circle back, I just can't imagine a world in which I need that for. And then the conversation continued after dinner was over.
But isn't that a delightful moment? Isn't when you're having such a great conversation that you don't want to leave the restaurant? And you're just sitting there and everybody's having a great time. Now, I
bet we have stuff like this that other cultures don't have. I bet we do.
Very well may be the case.
I think what's going on here is this guy's looking for what's missing.
Right.
As opposed to, and I can't believe that the Journal of Positive Psychology didn't pick up on this pessimism. That this guy didn't start from the point of view of, we probably have these too.
Right.
Let's go out into the world and find out what we have a word for. That other, because we're good and happy and wonderful too, and gold stars in Journal of Positive Psychology.
There's the Journal of Ironic Journalism just put out a study about how the Journal of Positivity is always talking about how everything else is so great.
Yeah.
It's so positive about everybody else.
I think that was in Think Peace Quarterly.
Was it?
Yeah, the official journal of internet reporters and internet reporting science.
It was the Journal of Irony. Yeah, I read so many journals, so I get them confused.
Sure. I mean, like you're saying, a lot of language has to do, yes, it has to do with feelings, it has to do with cultural stuff, it has to do with utility. The Inuit having, this is apocryphal, I don't know how many there actually are.
Right.
But I believe scientifically they have 9,332 words for snow.
Yeah.
And none for father, which is super sad. It's super
That's
sad.
That's because they all believe the snow is their father. But I think you're pointing to exactly my point, which is because they need it, they name it.
But that's what I'm saying.
And if we don't need to feel those things, if we don't name them, maybe it points to the fact that we didn't need to.
But that's why I'm saying I think the next part of this study is to find the positive things that we have in English that other languages don't have, because I think they exist. Right. That's where I'm coming from. And I don't think it means, you can point to it and be like, oh, well, it's cool that this culture really values continuing conversation after dinner. That's rad, sure.
Yeah.
And I'm glad they have a word for it. I'm saying we probably don't need it over here, and maybe we should be a culture that values talking after dinner more. I don't know. Maybe. It
feels rad, man. You got to get into that.
Nah, I mean, I get my...
You just drink your Soylent and you're done with dinner. I
actually have my food come to the table when I go out to dinner in a to-go box.
That's smart.
And that way, whenever I just feel like I can't anymore, I'm gone.
There's a word for a guy who always orders...
I'm Mavimbo Matimbo.
you just
and I just disappear.
Evaporate away.
I culturally and sensitively disappear. But no, I would love to see what we have a word for that other languages don't.
Dick bag, I think.
Dick bag is a great one.
It's a bag of dicks.
Yeah,
no other culture needs to express bag of dicks.
And you know what I say when I get really, really angry at somebody is I call them a metric dick bag.
Oh,
like one metric.
Well, that adds
a metric sack.
There's a European slant to it.
Yeah.
That adds a little bit of culture.
Don't say that I'm not worldly. Don't say that I don't have specific words and terms.
Yeah.
My language is flowery, motherfucker.
People in America don't even understand how to measure their metric dick bag. So they're like, is that a big dick bag? Is that a small dick bag?
It's just 0.6 dick bags for every standard dick bag.
And if your dick bag is small, does that mean it has small dicks or just fewer big dicks?
I mean, it all depends. It all depends. I mean, it's the same mass.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I guess that's all that really matters.
That's all that really matters.
How much mass of dick you have in your bag.
No, you know what? Let's run our own informal study. Academia be damned. Journal of Positive Psychology. get fucked.
That's actually their byline is Journal of Positive Psychology. Get fucked!
With 3 exclamation points.
It comes with, every subscription comes with a dick bag.
But I would like to hear if you are a native English speaker, if you are somebody who came to English later in life, any words that you may know, phrases that you may know that describe something positive that you haven't heard a word for in another language or you think doesn't exist in another language. You can tweet those at us. I'm at acarboni.
I'm at Jeff Kanata.
And you can hashtag those gold star.
Nice.
And hey, let's talk about nakedness.
Oh.
Let's talk about nudity.
There's a word for that.
Well, it's
Phenomena.
You can't go places naked. That's true.
Well, you can, but people tend to not like it.
Yeah.
They call you words like dick bag and put a bag on your dick.
Yeah.
And please leave here until you found a bag to cover your dick.
Yeah, there's a lot going on, basically, with public nudity. And you know what's funny is like we can't help you with the dick bag stuff because we can only help you from the waist up.
Although
if you go to wehaveconcerns.com/shop, we have everything that you need from the waist up to not get arrested in public.
We should really look into the dick bag merchandising.
I think we can get them embroidered. wehaveconcerns.com/shop.